Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who tries to make the law make sense to the extent that it can here on YouTube. So I have a question today from a viewer who wants to know, among other things, how to draft a pleading in state or federal court. Keeping in mind that nothing I say is legal advice, I will talk you through some things that you can do that might make it easier. But again, no legal advice here, just some helpful tips that you might find useful if indeed you decide to be a pro se litigant. Let's talk about this down at the beach. Let's start out with the general principle that you do not wish to be a pro se litigant ever. A pro se litigant gets held to the same standards as an attorney. Now, you might have a kind judge, and you might have a judge that can help you in some small respect by saying, well, your question is objectionable. You need to think about another way to ask it instead of just saying sustained, right? But a judge can just say sustained. He's not there to help you. He's there to be a neutral. He is the referee between the two of you, between you and the defendant or you and the plaintiff. That's what he's there for. It is important to remember that. It's also important to remember that you're probably not without options. If you don't have money to hire an attorney, one of the things that you can do is you can contact a local law school. Many local law schools have clinics, and those clinics sometimes are oriented to a specific type of law, like landlord-tenant, and in other situations, they are just general civil law clinics. And what those clinics do is they allow senior level law students to come in and represent you in court with a supervising attorney there to help the young lawyer along or the young law student along. And this is a very valuable service, and many people don't know about it. So in many instances, there is absolutely no reason to be a pro se litigant. But if you decide to be a pro se litigant, then you've got some major headaches in front of you. And if you are going to sue somebody as a pro se litigant, not only are you going to have to come up with the court costs to do that, but you're going to have to draft the pleadings. Now, fortunately, there is sometimes a solution you can use that you may find helpful. One of those is your court system probably has a law library that's open to the public. If it doesn't have a law library that's open to the public, your state Supreme Court, wherever that may be, probably does have a law library that's open to the public. And you can find form books there that will help you in drafting pleadings. That is probably one preferred way of finding the necessary language to draft, let's say, a complaint about a contract. But it's not the only place. Let me give you an example from Missouri's system. In Missouri, we have something called CaseNet. And as I have mentioned many times previously, insurance law is a matter of contract. So if you wanted to find a pleading that talked about breach of contract, you go find John Jones or Mary Smith versus fill in the insurance company. State Farm, American Family, Mutual of Omaha, whoever it is. And in those situations, you'll probably find at least one or two cases that deal with breach of contract. So you go to the circuit clerk's office and you say, I would like to see the file from this case number, Mary Smith versus ABC Insurance Company. And you may get a little guff, but basically all court records are open records unless they are sealed. And if they are sealed, you're probably not going to be able to find them on any kind of case retrieval service anyway. But you should be able to find a copy in the file of the initial complaint. It may be called a petition. It may be called a complaint. It's a petition in Missouri State Court when you petition for damages. It's a complaint in federal court if you file a complaint to get damages. You get that document and you have the clerk make a copy for you. It'll cost you, $3 or $4 to get the copy made. You don't need it certified. All you're going to do is use it as a template. And then you look at the allegations that are made and the way the complaint is drafted. In Missouri, normally what happens is the first thing that's listed, or first at the very beginning, it says, comes now the plaintiff and for his cause of action against defendant, Acme Bulldozer Company, states and avers as follows. Or it can just be states as follows. And then there's a subheading. It says parties. Plaintiff John Doe is a citizen and resident of Jefferson County, Missouri, period. Defendant Acme Bulldozer Company is a citizen and resident of citizen of Missouri and a resident of St. Louis County. The next paragraph, the next subheading will be jurisdiction. This court has jurisdiction because the events complained of occurred in Jefferson County. And then the paragraph below that, or the subheading below that, will be venue. This court has venue because the venue statute says that it does. And there'll be a venue statute that you can look up online, and you can find out what the venue is for a contract action. And you plead all of that before you ever get to anything that deals with what went wrong. Then what you plead are the background facts. On January 1, I went to Acme Bulldozer to rent a bulldozer. On January 5, I went to pick up my bulldozer, and the bulldozer that was promised wasn't ready, but they said it'd be ready on the 7th. I had crew waiting to go to work on the 5th, and I had to pay them 2 days of wages because the bulldozer wasn't ready. And they breached their contract by not having the bulldozer ready on that date. And then you go to the counts. Count 1 is breach of contract. Count 2 is, whatever it is. But you can find all of these things, and you can find that particular sort of pleading style in almost any of the breach of contract cases.
So here is a model petition for damages and injunctive relief. And this is from Missouri. It's a case that hasn't been filed. I have blinded everything except the defendant. And here's what we do. We start with jurisdiction, why the court has jurisdiction, why it's in the proper venue, who the parties are. And you can juxtapose these any way you want. Parties first, then jurisdiction, then venue. But all three of these things need to be in there so the court knows that it's appropriate. And then you plead the background facts, the things that are going to be the central issues that underscore the relief that you want in the case. And then after you get all of the facts in, then the next thing is to state the counts. Now, the counts are the individual causes of action, and here in the counts, you will need to list all of the elements of each individual count and make reference to any exhibits that you're going to use. You put over how many counts you want, count for injunctive relief. Then at the bottom of the complaint, you put respectfully submitted, and you sign your name. You give your name, your address, your phone number, your fax number if you have one, your email address, and you put down plaintiff pro se, P-R-O-S-E.
So that is one way that you can go about drafting your complaint. It is said that imitation is the highest form of flattery. And indeed, when you think about it, lawyers love to flatter themselves and flatter other lawyers because for all the time, people take other people's complaints and in some form or fashion duplicate them in order to plead their case. And that's lawyers and regular people who do that. In fact, several years ago, our firm was involved in some class action lawsuits, and people went out and copied our complaint verbatim. They even included the mistakes and misspellings from our complaint in their copycat complaint. And so it does happen. We were a little annoyed by that, but it does happen. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with copying another person's complaint. But what you have to be aware of is that the copying that you're doing is fitting the cause of action. And to do that, you'll have to do legal research. And legal research, you can do that at any law library. And there are lots of books out there. I think Nolo Press has one that will talk you through the process of doing legal research, finding out about causes of action. And of course, there are lots of resources online that can help you by telling you what the elements of a cause of action are and all that sort of thing. But again, you don't want to do this. You absolutely should not ever, under any circumstances, be a pro se plaintiff or a pro se defendant. Go get legal help. There is a very important reason why this is necessary and why all lawyers immediately turn to another lawyer if they get sued. And that is because you are not objective about what happened to you. I'm not objective about what happens to me. I'd be the first to admit that. And so as a result of that, you may tend to say things in your complaint that are self-defeating, and you may not even realize it. A lawyer is a useful individual in many instances, but he's absolutely vital when you're going to put a check in the mail to the circuit clerk and file a lawsuit against somebody else, because in some states, you can be penalized, you can be sanctioned for frivolous pleading or erroneous pleading. So you need to be aware that there are a lot of pitfalls in pro se research and pro se litigation. And if you want to avoid those pitfalls, the best thing you can do is find a lawyer or a law clinic or legal aid, someone like that, to help you out. So I hope you found this interesting, helpful, and if you have, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe. We do some really interesting stuff here. Thank you again for watching. And if you have the opportunity today, do something nice for someone. If, for example, you go down to the court clerk's office and get a copy of a complaint, make sure to tell the clerk how important her help was or his help was in getting you that document, and thank them for it. They are the unsung heroes of the court system. They do a lot of work, and they don't get a lot of credit that they really should get. So thank you again for watching. Have a marvelous day. I'll catch you down here at the beach next time.
If you like this video, here are a few others you might try, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a terrific day, guys.